So there are several fights taking place this weekend. We have Naoya Inoue versus Manny Rodriguez, and we have Josh Taylor versus Ivan Baracic. But the fight that I'm most interested in, and the fight that I'll definitely be watching, will be Deontay Wilder versus Dominic Breazeale. And in this video, I'm going to go over kind of how I think the fight may go, and I'm going to give my prediction. I'm just going to preview the fight. Now, I do this very seldom. I don't normally do the previews on this channel. I do it for certain fights, and this is going to be one of them. Now, Dominic Breazeale and Deontay Wilder, they've had beef stemming from around about February 2015, or 2017, when Wilder fought Washington. Breazeale was on that undercard against Izzy Wagono, and I believe there was an altercation between Deontay Wilder's brother Marcellus and Team Breazeale, or Dominic Breazeale, and I think, I wasn't there, I don't know what happened, but I believe that, there was kind of a kerfuffle, and, it was an altercation, to put it like that. So, there's been beef stemming since then, and going forward, Deontay Wilder has, had little digs at Dominic Breazeale here and there. Dominic Breazeale obviously fought Eric Molina on the undercard of Wilder's Tavern 2 and became mandatory challenger. And after that, Deontay Wilder started saying, stuff to that effect of, when I fight Breazeale, I hope his son's there so he can see the man who crippled his dad, stuff like that, which is a bit distasteful, to be fair. Bringing kids in and bringing family members into it, I don't really like that. So Deontay Wilder and Dominic Breazeale, they have beef, and you've seen that in the build to this fight. Deontay Wilder been saying before that he won't feel any remorse if he kills Dominic Breazeale. It's nothing new. Wilder said this before, so I don't really, to be honest with you, when fighters talk about that, once they're not bringing family members into it, I don't really mind it, because I know a lot of fighters do think like that, and I think that there are very few who are brave enough to say it, but I'm sure there are. I'm sure there are other fighters like that. I'm sure Anthony Joshua would probably think maybe not to that effect, but he said it several times. I even made a video where he said it about Andy Ruiz, where, he will punish him, and he wanted to punish Jarrell Miller, stuff like that, worse to that effect, not necessarily saying he wants to kill them, but he's going in there to hurt them. He's not just going in there to win, he's going in there to hurt them. So a lot of fighters think like that. Anyway, going back onto this, when I look at this fight, and I see that Deontay Wilder versus Dominic Breazeale, when I look at Breazeale from a stylistic point of view, he is nothing like some of the other tall fighters that Wilder has fought. Gerald Washington used his height and reach to kind of mess Wilder around for a bit. Calvin Price was a guy who kind of used his height and reach to mess Deontay Wilder around for a bit. Tyson Fury definitely was outboxing Deontay Wilder, I thought, for good parts in their fight, until he was caught with them 2 knockdowns. What's the one thing that these all haven't had? They all use their height and reach to keep Deontay Wilder at bay and to kind of expose his very limited boxing skills. Dominic Breazeale, even though he's a big guy, I don't know what the reaches are, but I'm assuming he could probably jab at Wilder if he wanted to. But that's not Dominic Breazeale's style. Dominic Breazeale is more of a front foot kind of fighter. He's a pressure fighter. He gets you on the back foot. Likes to get you up against the ropes, land some uppercuts on you, throw right hands at you, kind of like that. Kind of use his physical size to bully you, almost. And when I look at Breazeale, who does he most remind me of in terms of Deontay Wilder opponents? I would say the closest to Breazeale would be Johan Dupa, or Duopa, however you pronounce it. He's obviously a little bit shorter than Breazeale. He's probably not as strong, and I don't think he hits as hard, personally. But that being said, he does do things better than Breazeale. I'd say they're very similar stylistically. Johan Duopa, in my opinion, he's faster, and he's got a better chin, and he moves his head a lot more than Breazeale. Breazeale is one of the slowest heavyweights in the heavyweight division. Seriously. This guy is unbelievably slow, and that's one of his biggest disadvantages against someone who's very fast like Deontay Wilder. He might not have the reflexes, he might not be able to get out of the way of the big shots that are coming from Deontay Wilder, which will inevitably come, and I expect them to come early. And I think that if Dominic Breazeale decides to fight his normal fight, which is pressure Deontay Wilder and, get him up against the ropes, he's going to leave himself open to counters, and I don't think he's fast enough to get out of the way. And I think that Deontay Wilder, although it's debatable, he probably does hit a bit harder than Anthony Joshua, at least with the right hand. And he definitely hits harder than Izzy Wagono and Amir Mansour. They're people who were able to land and, counter and find, with relative ease to land big hard shots on Dominic Breazeale. Amir Mansour had Dominic Breazeale down very heavily in their fight. Izzy Wagono had Dominic Breazeale down in the third round. Anthony Joshua hurt Dominic Breazeale several times in their fight and had him down twice in the seventh round. Dominic Breazeale very, very poor defensively, very slow. Hardly any head movement, if any. And I think that just, when you factor all them in, and when you look at how Wilder was able to land, especially later on in the fight on Johan Dupa, Breazeale's not as fast. I don't think he's got as good of a chin. I don't think he moves his head as well. So, taking all that into consideration, I think that Dominic Breazeale would be very, very fortunate to make it past the halfway stage of this fight. Personally. I could be wrong. He could come out and get up on his toes. I really don't think he will, but he could get on his toes, flick a jab, and maybe make it awkward for Deontay Wilder. Maybe. Who knows? But I think if he fights his normal fight, then I think that this could be over fairly quick. I'm not saying Breazeale doesn't have a chance. This is heavyweight boxing at the end of the day. Breazeale's a very, very big, strong man, and he does have power. And I did say earlier on that in terms of who hits harder, I would say that Breazeale probably is a bigger puncher than Johan Dupa. We all saw Johan Dupa's jab was able to bust up Deontay Wilder's eye and swell it. I'm sure that if Dominic Breazeale can counter Deontay Wilder, land a right hand, he could hurt Deontay Wilder seriously, drop him, maybe even knock him out. I just don't see that happening. And I don't see Deontay Wilder having any issues that he had with someone like a Fury, where he was missing a lot and he was really struggling to find his range, at least with the right hand, until late on in the fight when Fury slowed down. I don't see this happening. I don't think Deontay Wilder will have any problem landing shots on Dominic Breazeale. It's just a case of when, not if, Deontay Wilder lands the right hand on Breazeale. Because I think it's inevitable. And I just think it's going to be a case of how clean will he land. And if he lands clean, it's good night. So, having taken all that in, you know what I'm going to say. I expect Wilder to win this fight. I would be quite surprised if it went past 7 rounds. And I know that's probably going to be back in Deontay Wilder's mind, because he knows that this guy went 7 rounds with Anthony Joshua. So if he can stop him earlier, he can just say, look at that, I stopped him earlier than Anthony Joshua. Because if you look at Eric Molina, Deontay Wilder went 9 rounds with him and he didn't look good at all in that fight. Even though we dropped him a couple of times, he didn't look good against Eric Molina. Anthony Joshua had no problem with Eric Molina, took him out in 3 rounds, relative ease. So that's a common opponent. This is the second time they'll have fought someone that they've both fought. And I think Deontay will be looking to make a statement against Breazeale. So those are my thoughts on this. The other fights we have this weekend, Josh Taylor versus Ivan Baranchyk. I think that Josh Taylor will win that fight. Probably on points, but I do think he might be able to stop Baranchyk, definitely. And Naoya Inoue against Manny Rodriguez. That's a good fight. That's a very, very good fight. I think Naoya Inoue will win that fight. And I'm going to stick my neck out on the line and say he'll win it on points. I think he'll win it on points. So those are my thoughts. Those are my picks for the fight this weekend. That's my thoughts on Wilder versus Breazeale. Let me know what you guys think down below. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like it if you did. Subscribe if you're new. And as always, I will talk to you after.